You're listening to Barbell Logic,
the podcast where we talk about what it means to experience strength
and how you can use simple, hard, and effective strategies in training and nutrition to improve your life.
It starts with meeting you where you are right now and finding lasting solutions.
Welcome to the show. You're listening to the Barbell Logic podcast. I'm Matt Reynolds. I'm here with the team coming from Eden, Utah, just outside of Ogden, Utah. We've been here all week. We're in Airbnb here. And we, if you haven't heard, we landed a big Air Force contract. So we've been here working at Hill Air Force Base with EOD technicians, the bomb guys, as we call them. And we're super, super excited about the opportunity to work with these amazing airmen. So first off, welcome to the show. Nikki and CJ have mics. Dan and Andrew are also here. Welcome.
Hey, everybody.
Ahoy.
So yeah, man, we're really excited. It's gone really well this week. We got to meet with all the stakeholders and leaders and officers and whatnot at Hill Air Force Base, along with 5 other EOD Air Force flights, doing sort of a Zoom calls and talking to them about what their needs are. We were prepped for where we thought the project was going to go. Feel pretty good about that. Came back last night, made some tweaks to our presentation, and then did the formal presentation today, and it went very, very well. So for those of you guys that have not heard that, it's a big deal for us. And really what it does is it allows us to utilize all 3 of our primary products and services at Barbell Logic. So you're all familiar with Barbell Logic online coaching, and we'll be providing online both strength conditioning and nutrition coaching to officers and stakeholders, leaders, really also what they call PTLs, or the trainers, the ones that are invested in the physical training of the airmen. And then in that process, we have the sort of train the trainer model. CJ and the Academy are developing a tactical athlete program to put those guys through and walk through sort of a principles type based education program specific to airmen, right?
Yep.
And so pretty excited about that. And then the plan there is over the next 4 or 5 months to prep them through coaching them and through educating them so that then we can license out our TurnKey Coach software and platform to the Air Force so that they can then coach the end user airmen, the greater flights at large. And so lots of work to be done there. We, as you all know, we've been successful in the private sector, and to be able to transition into the government sector and provide coaching, education, and then also sort of this train the trainer model so that they can utilize our software and platform to train their airmen is really a huge opportunity for us. So first off, most of us have drinks. Cheers, everybody. It's a big
everybody.
deal. So cheers. Cling, cling, cling. So it's a big deal. First off, I want to turn it over to let these guys talk for a few minutes, but I do just want to say, like, we have such an incredible team here. What I saw, really what I've seen in this entire process, Dan putting together the proposal, and a proposal that most of you haven't heard about, but one that we've put together several times in a row to get denied, and then to make the finals, and then to make the finals again, but not really get funded, and then finally to win the award has been a big deal. So Dan Shell has just crushed that. And then today, really all the work that's gone on behind the scenes by the entire team, including Josh Veach, putting together an amazing presentation for us. And then everyone was able to just communicate and present so effectively their part of this, right? So whether Nikki talked about Barbell Logic online coaching and nutrition, CJ about the Academy and TAP, Andrew about TKC, Dan talked about the metrics that we're going to collect, the things that are important to the Air Force. It was just, it was an incredible synergistic way.
So much synergy.
So much synergy.
We were
Andrew's
synergizing.
so excited right now. And so, yeah, I mean, how'd you guys think the week has gone, and how did today specifically go?
I loved it. For me, it reminded me back to my sailor days when you'd play like If I Were the CNO, and there was always that frustration of PT or requirements coming down the line, and that feeling of, but what are we supposed to do? Like, how are we going to achieve this? There was just that frustration of, you're telling us to do it, but what? And the opportunity to go in and actually help provide that answer and help provide the PTLs, the flight coaches, the leaders with the kind of skills that I wish I had back then is, it's pretty much everything I kind of wanted when I started coaching, is to serve the person and to serve the mission that I couldn't 5-10 years ago. So I've been stoked. This has been a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Great.
I loved to be able to have the opportunity to actually get to potentially make an impact on the armed forces. It's something that, we talk about, like when you're a young coach, it's like, this would be neat. But we were in the room with these people who are decision makers, and we have like all the tools to put it into play. And we have the people and the experience. And it's not just coaching one person. Like we get to, teach them how to fish, which is really neat. And use the word synergy, but it's like we had it all and it was all there and we knew what we were talking about. It's like sometimes you forget how much knowledge you've accumulated over a certain amount of time because you feel like you're always just trying to, keep your head above water. And it was one of those cool moments when it was like, wow, this is neat. We know some cool things, and I think we have the tools to do this, and it was really fun.
Andrew and I talked a lot about this behind the scenes over the last few weeks that, in the strength community, everybody's always wanted to be able to have the opportunity to do this. This has sort of been like, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but that was just unachievable for almost any strength and conditioning organization. And so to be able to get the opportunity to do it is tremendous. We understand the gravity of what this is, but I also think that it's a real testament to the Barbell Logic team. I don't know how many other companies out there have the ability to scale at this level. And so to watch the team who just complement each other so well, what you all are so great at, or you're great in places that I'm not, and vice versa. And so we're able to pick each other up and come across the project with, 6 incredible individuals at this week, but supported by 65 other individuals back at the company. It's been really incredible. And so the opportunity to scale that's been big. And then, we got ready to start meetings yesterday. And right before we started, we went out in the hallway, we were getting coffee, and in the hallway, damn it, there's 30, 35 pictures of the guys that they've lost over the last 10 years. And so you recognize like what we do on a daily basis is important. We change people's lives for the better, and it's really incredible. But there's a gravity to this where what these guys are doing in protecting our country and protecting our citizens and to play some small role in helping them be better operators at that, better technicians, is really incredible. And so it really gives you, I'm so grateful and so honored to get the opportunity to serve the armed forces here. This has really been a lifetime goal for us, for me, and to be able to have that opportunity has been incredible. So yeah, much like I just did, I got a little choked up at the very beginning talking yesterday, and then I kind of pulled it together. And because I think as I get older, understanding the gravity of this stuff, you go out there and like every one of the pictures of those airmen that have been lost, they're kids, they're guys in their 20s, right? There's ladies and you're like, man, these would be fathers and mothers, and they're sons and daughters, and some of them may have already been fathers and mothers. And so it's just, they had a life and they chose to give the ultimate sacrifice for our country. And so to be able to serve a group of people that are wired that way, like how different do you have to be wired to be able to say, like, my job is to go out and do one of the most dangerous things on the planet for the good of our country is pretty amazing that we get to serve that. So.
Yeah, and we really don't have to change the method that we're delivering to civilians. So simple, hard, effective, voluntary hardship, MED, everything we do with civilians is just being tweaked. We coach people, not programs. We're coaching airmen now. We're just going to personalize it for them. And like you said, we know we can transform lives with this, and we might save lives with this. So that's just very humbling.
Agreed. Andrew, first off, this is an R&D project through Small Business Innovative Research where the government funds this. And so you've also probably heard that one of a major private sector project we've been working on for the last several years is our TurnKey Coach product, our TurnKey Coach software that we converted our entire staff over to a couple of years ago now. And we've recognized that we had a really good system in place for providing excellent, efficient, effective online coaching, not just for the client, but also for the coach, to be able to do that effectively and efficiently from anywhere in the world that they want on their own time schedule. And as you start to think about how this research and development changes TKC, it's one of the big challenges for you in a fun way probably, is how to take this software that we have really built for the private sector and begin to transition it to meet the needs of the government sector. What does that look like?
Based on what conversations we had over the last couple of days, I don't think it's a huge difference. The biggest 2 changes that I see us needing to make are going to be needing to program more effectively for larger groups that might be on very similar programs. So particularly around that novice side of the bell curve, where one of the unit coaches might need to have 5 to 10 airmen on a very similar novice progression of some sort. And so we'll need to, which would not happen with Barbell Logic online coaching. It's unlikely that you'd have that many people starting at the same point in time.
Yeah.
So there's some things where we might need to add features to be able to support that. But I think the fun one that will be interesting to do is what came up today in our meetings, where very quickly, they latched onto the idea of PRs mattering
Yep.
and using that as competition,
Yep.
which we have a leaderboard. But I think there's going to be some customization that we're going to want to do where airmen can be grouped by different units.
Yep.
And where you can have like unit competitions or have the leaderboard sequence up to some sort of a King of the Hill type of day. It's sort of like, it's actually taking a lot of the King of the Hill ideas that Jordan has done and make it visible in the app to just kind of inspire more competition.
Yeah.
One of the things that I tried to relate to within the Air Force is that, their motto is aim high. And that's essentially saying PRs matter.
Yep.
And what we're doing is helping them understand how to aim high for all levels of their organization. Even the people that are not super strong, they had a leaderboard in their gym. But I don't know if everybody knows how to make PRs matter. Whereas we're coming from a culture of Sybil caring about PRs.
That's right.
87-year-old grandma caring about PRs. Well, if we can help an 87-year-old train, we can help them bring up their performers, the people that might not relate to PRs mattering. The guy who's pulling 500 in that gym, he knows that PRs matter. Right. But some of the airmen, I think, don't know how to train, really what it comes down to. And so I'm just beyond thrilled to, like CJ mentioned, be able to coach the trainers, train the trainers on how to help them actually train their airmen to get stronger over a long period of time. So I don't think there's going to be actually a huge amount of changes, but we're going to be able to continue to refine it faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
The other thing that I think there's going to be a focus on as well is, of course, is more EOD specific conditioning, right? To make sure that they are well conditioned or prepared for what the job requires. The Air Force has a PFA, physical fitness test, and they do a great job already of those guys meeting that sort of minimum standard for the Air Force. But these are really, for all intents and purposes, special operations type unit. These guys they're badasses. And so to identify what they have to do to be able to perform optimally is really cool as well. So we had some great conversations about how we can take not just, certainly we will condition for the PFA and to crush the physical fitness test, but also to even take it a step beyond and say, what are the things that you have to do as EOD operators? And it's going to be really fun to program for.
That was one of my favorite moments of the week where I asked their unit commander, describe the kinds of problems that you're trying to solve in the field. Like, what is it that you're expecting your team to be able to do? And he starts walking through the kinds of things that are doing. I look over at Matt and I'm like, we're going to need to write some strongman programs.
Yeah, some strongman medleys.
It sounded like strongman events. Yeah. Like they're carrying 70 pounds through a field, on their back while carrying, they're basically doing farmer's carries with different implements. They're having to lift them up. They're trying not to get, what did he call them? Bomb suit dumb.
Yep.
They're trying to maintain, they're trying
70-pound bomb suit. It's hot. They're stuck in it. And you're
doing intervals.
Your IQ drops about 30 points. Right. And so how do you still focus? I mean, extreme focus, not a little bit of focus. Like you're disarming bombs,
right?
While wearing a 70-pound suit, it's 125 inside the thing. Like, how do you do that?
And they're having to climb up and down and
That's right.
So it's really, I thought that was fascinating that what seemed like the missing link, the gap is they're training theoretically to pass a PFA, the physical fitness assessment, but they don't have standards that they're aiming at to create enough strength and conditioning capacity to be able to perform effectively.
Yeah, that's right.
So what we're just helping them do is aim high at benchmarks, standards, and then give them the tools for how to get from A to B.
That's right.
As, amateur strongmen, basically.
that's right. Well, and educating them all along the way. CJ's done a really good job of putting together a great plan for the tactical athlete program it's going to be great because you think about, we were talking about in the car today, the education process that occurs as a client when you're being coached by an expert coach. They're going to learn a ton because they're just going to be getting coached by us over the next several months. And so they'll get a lot of education. They'll learn how to train. We'll walk them through. We talked about moving them from novice sort of program into intermediate program, and they can see what that process looks like. And then all along the way, they're in the background, they're doing this very focused academy-based learning so that they can also gather the knowledge so that they can then teach others how to do the same thing, which is really cool. So in light of this news, and with all the big projects going on with TKC and the Air Force contract, we've had to evaluate where are the places that we really have to focus our energy and where do we need to hit pause. And so we've decided we're going to hit pause on the podcast for a little while, and not for any bad reasons, but for great reasons, actually. And so we are excited to move forward with these projects. We want to keep you involved in knowing about what's going on behind the scenes. And so I just want to say, the podcast has been an enormous blessing to me. It's, the bulk of my life's work, the most important work I've ever done, I think, has been on the podcast over the last 5-6 years, almost 600 episodes. And so really everything I've ever learned about strength and conditioning and nutrition and all of the things I've really said on the podcast. And so we're going to take a break for a little while, but want you to stay here and stay subscribed and be ready for more updates. And yeah, we're excited where it's going.
And we know the podcast has been really important to you, and we're so thankful for every time you've listened to it and shared it with someone and gotten a coach because of it, and how it's been used to change your relationship with training or with your body or with nutrition. Like, we are so grateful for that. So we don't know when we're coming back, but we're going to be taking some time to really kind of chew on what we want to talk about, what kind of conversations we want to have, especially considering everything that we're working on now. And we really want to know what's worked for you, like what's landed for you in the podcast, what you enjoyed listening to, what kind of made some changes, what made you want to listen again. And so as the Chief Experience Officer, what is important to me is your experience of this whole thing. So in order for us to hear that from you, we've created a form on our website. It's on the podcast page, which is barbelllogic.com/podcast. There's just a simple questionnaire. It's a few questions where we get to kind of prod you with, like, why'd you like us? What did you like about us a lot? And what we can do when we come back that will still provide a lot of value to you. So if you could head over there, we'd really appreciate that. It's barbelllogic.com/podcast. Give us your thoughts and we'll come back with what you like.
Yeah, and I hope you've gained a lot of knowledge from the podcast over the years. And I could get emotional about this as well, but I'm very grateful that you've taken the time to listen to me and Scott and Nikki and CJ and Andrew over the years. It's definitely something that we take serious. And I'm really grateful that you've chosen to lend us your ear over the years. And so if you've learned a lot from the podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Shoot me an email or a message and let us know what the podcast has meant to you. But it would be helpful for us if you told us what you'd like to hear more of in the future, so that when we do come back, we've got a good strategy to approach. And until then, stay subscribed so that when new stuff comes out, you're going to get that ping and you'll see, like, oh, they put out something new. And we'll keep you updated on what's going on behind the scenes at Barbell Logic as we continue this project with the Air Force as well as TKC. And of course, Barbell Logic online coaching isn't going anywhere. That's our sugar daddy. It's done very well for us over the years, and we're very grateful for the life that it's provided for our coaches and for our team, for the lives that it's changed for our clients. And so really proud of what we've been able to put together over the last several years. So thank you all for listening. And until next time.
Until next time.
This is Matt Reynolds and the team. Thanks to you guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Signing out.